Hi, my name's Claire Ashley and I'm here to talk you through your new role. I'll show you some of the details of your contract and explain how the BMA can support you as you join the medical workforce. This type of presentation is relatively new to us. Typically, our local teams would visit your medical school towards the end of your academic year and deliver a presentation welcoming you to the life as a junior doctor. This year, as a result of COVID-19 and the accelerated rate of your graduation and early registration with the GMC, we felt it was essential that we speak to you directly as early as possible. I'll aim to cover as much information as possible throughout this talk, but if you do have any questions, either visit the BMA website or email our team of advisors who will be happy to help you. Many of you will soon be joining the workforce earlier than expected, at an unprecedented time for the health service. We are proud of everyone playing their part to offer patient care during the COVID-19 crisis, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you to take on these new roles. For that reason, we are waiving the remainder of your membership subscription fee for 2019-20. You will pay nothing until the 1st of October 2020 when we officially move you to FY1 membership. For current members, you do not need to do anything to update your membership. All payments for final year students have now been suspended. If you are not a member, you can join online for free. Your new FY1 membership, starting with immediate effect, entitles you to contract checking, individual employment support, and a range of member benefits, including our wellbeing service. Don't worry, I'll cover these in more detail later on. In addition to these new benefits, we have created a suite of guidance materials and FAQs to help support you through what is an extremely challenging time for all doctors. On the BMA website, you will find a briefing page to keep up to date with the issues facing doctors during the COVID-19 pandemic and what we are doing to address them on behalf of our members. Alongside this, you will have access to a series of FAQs and advice pages, which are regularly updated, including information about your provisional GMC registration. The BMA is the Doctors' Trade Union and Professional Association. We are the voice of the medical profession, representing all doctors and medical students locally and nationally on the issues that affect you, and supporting you throughout your careers. We are here if you experience any difficulties at work, need individual career support, or want to build on your professional development. We are not an indemnity insurer and we do not deal with patient complaints, so we recommend you seek this cover in addition. Throughout this presentation, I'll be taking you through everything you need to know about your contract and how we can support you in your new role as a junior doctor. Starting with your salary, I'll touch on your basic pay and a number of allowances that make up your actual pay. I'll also talk you through an example of your payslip. I'll then guide you through your schedules, covering annual leave, study and sick leave, and take a look at your rota. Finally, I'll show you a few things that will be useful to you throughout this period of transition, where you can get support and how our team can help. Looking now at your starting salary. You may have heard that in June last year, the BMA secured a £90 million investment to enhance the 2016 contract terms and conditions. Some of these improvements include changes to your starting salary, so that now you will be paid a basic salary at a nodal point linked to your grade or level of responsibility, rather than time served. There are now 4 points on the nodal pay scale, and it is front-loaded at the request of the BMA, which means more basic pay is given at the earliest stage of your training. These are the salary points as of the 1st of April 2020. Each year, salary scales are reviewed by the Doctors and Dentists Review Body, which decides whether to increase the salary points with a cost of living rise. Again, thanks to the contract changes agreed last year, a 5th nodal point will be introduced on the 1st of October 2020 for trainees at ST6 and above, in order to recognise the significant high service contribution these trainees make. This will be introduced through a staggered approach from October 2020. The pay scales for grades FY1 to ST5 will remain unchanged. If you are rostered to work on a weekend, meaning taking on one or more shifts beginning on a Saturday or a Sunday, at a minimum frequency of 1 in 8 across the length of the rota cycle, you will be paid an allowance. These will be set as a percentage of your full-time basic salary in accordance with the rates in this table. If you are issued an on-call rota where your employer requires you to be available to return to work or to give advice by phone, but are not expected to be working on site for the whole period, you will be paid an on-call availability allowance. The value of the allowance described is based on 8% of a full-time basic salary for the relevant grade. This allowance will take the form of a cash sum set out in the annual pay circular as amended from time to time. For doctors employed on a less than full-time basis in any grade, the value of the on-call availability allowance is paid on a pro rata basis. You will be paid for the average hours of work undertaken while on call, either in the workplace or remotely, at the agreed rates of pay. The hours paid will be calculated prospectively across the rota cycle, and the estimated average hours at each rate of pay will be set out in the work schedule. For the purposes of pay, these total estimates shall be converted into equal weekly amounts by dividing the total number of prospective hours at each rate by the number of weeks in the rota cycle. The weekly amount will then be turned into an annual figure, and you will be paid 1/12 of the annual figure for each complete month. An enhancement of 37% of the hourly basic rate shall be paid on any hours worked between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. on any day of the week. Flexible pay premia. These are annual pay supplements of varying amounts that are awarded to certain types of trainee. This can be for various reasons, for example, to address current recruitment shortages in a particular specialty by making the specialty more financially attractive, or to address a pay disparity between one specialty and others. LTFT allowance. If you are training less than full time, you will be paid an annual allowance of £1,000 for as long as you continue to train less than full time. This is a fixed amount which will apply to all LTFT doctors and will be paid in addition to any other sums. The allowance will be spread out over the year and paid in monthly instalments. This is a typical example of your payslip, so let's take you through what you should expect to see. Basic pay. This is your relevant nodal point for your grade, calculated on an average of 40 hours per week. Additional rostered hours. These are any additional hours over 40, up to a maximum of 48 in total, or 56 for doctors who have opted out of the working time regulations. Night duty. Any hours receiving an enhanced rate of 37% of your hourly basic pay. Weekend allowance. Any allowance set as a percentage of your basic salary for working 1 in 8 or more frequent weekends. Non-resident on call. An allowance of 8% of your basic salary to compensate for your availability while non-resident on call, regardless of frequency. Flexible pay premia. Any flexible pay premia that applies. These are currently for emergency medicine, psychiatry, OMFS, academia and GP training, as well as current LTFT trainees, and are paid annually. Tax code. This is issued by the tax office. You may find that the first time you are paid, you will have been issued with an emergency tax code. Don't worry, this will be updated in your subsequent pay. I'll now go through some of the details I think will be of most interest to you at the moment. The annual leave year runs from the start date of your appointment, and you will be entitled to 27 days plus bank holidays. Annual leave must be allowed for life-changing events, for example, your wedding day. Leave should not be fixed to a working pattern for any reason without your agreement. On sick pay, you are entitled to 1 month's full pay and 2 months half pay during your first year of service. You are also entitled to 15 days of study leave. For FY1, study leave will take the form of regular scheduled teaching or training sessions as agreed locally. Study leave should not be used by employers for statutory and mandatory training that you are required to undertake in order to work in that trust or department. Your contract will include agreed working hours and allowances for breaks. It is important that these are outlined and adhered to throughout your role. These agreements will include a maximum average of no more than 48 hours of work per week and 72 hours within any 168-hour period. You should receive at least one 30-minute break for a shift lasting more than 5 hours and a second 30-minute break if the shift is more than 9 hours. These breaks can be taken flexibly during the shift and should be evenly spaced. When breaks have been missed on at least 25% of occasions over a 4-week period, a fine may be levied to the trust. If this happens, you should be exception reporting. A work review will also be undertaken to ensure that no further breaches occur. Here is an example of a work schedule and what you should expect to find on it. A work schedule is a document setting out the work commitments and training outcomes in your job. You will receive a generic work schedule before starting your post. A personalised version will be agreed in your first meeting with your educational supervisor. It is a single source for all the information you need, including your work commitments and training outcomes, details of your supervisors, your pay, your working hours and what training you will be doing. A copy of the rolling rota you will be working on too. It will usually apply for the duration of a training placement. The name and contact details of your guardian of safe working will also be detailed, and it should also provide details of other useful contacts such as your clinical lead, rota coordinator and medical workforce department. Your template rota should be received 8 weeks before your post starts and the duty roster 6 weeks before. This means you are able to request leave when you receive a copy of your rota template, so this can be built into the final roster. If you have concerns about your work schedule, a risk to patient safety or your own safety as a result of working hours breaches, a review can be requested by you, your supervisor, manager or the guardian. Ideally, problems will be resolved by making adjustments to the work schedule. In some cases, retrospective pay or compensatory time off in lieu may be awarded. You must meet with your supervisors within 4 weeks of your start date and can be released from clinical duties for this. Exception reporting. You can raise exception reports where your work schedule does not reflect the reality of what you are doing in terms of service or training. Ideally, keep a diary of your hours and a copy of your work schedule and note the time, date and reason for the report in a diary entry so you can keep track. If the exception report is not addressed or not resolved, speak to a BMA advisor and open a case. You should send the exception report as soon as possible after the exception takes place, within a maximum of 14 days or 7 days when making a claim for pay. Ideally, the problem will be resolved quickly within the trust, probably with an adjustment to the work schedule, but exception reporting also allows for the payment of unplanned hours worked. Send a copy to the Guardian of Safe Working Hours if it's a breach of working hours, or to the Director of Medical Education if it is a training breach. What should you do when you have an immediate safety concern? 1. Discuss with the clinician responsible. 2. Confirm the breach electronically. 3. The clinician must take immediate action. 4. Then notify your clinical supervisor and guardian within 24 hours. And 5. The clinical supervisor will take further action if needed. Exception reports give employers real-time information to identify patterns and pick up any issues quickly. These should be addressed as soon as possible by the educational and clinical supervisor and may lead to work schedule reviews. Flowcharts have now been produced by the BMA and NHS employers detailing response times, which now make it easier to review at which stage the report should be. Exception reporting in 3 easy steps. Access your report via software provided by the Trust and send the exception report electronically straight to your educational supervisor. A paper format will not be accepted. Send the report as soon as possible, within 7 days for a pay claim or 14 days maximum. The problem should be resolved within the Trust with an adjustment to your work schedule or payment for unplanned hours. The Guardian of Safe Working Hours provides independent scrutiny and accountability to internal trust mechanisms to ensure that juniors work safely. Guardians oversee the process of ensuring safe working hours for junior doctors. All organisations employing or hosting 10 or more trainees are required to appoint a Guardian. Organisations with fewer than 10 trainees, such as GP practices, must make one available through another NHS organisation. They will review all exception reports submitted in the Trust. They also oversee work schedule reviews and equality and diversity issues at the Trust, and report internally and externally on the safety of juniors' working hours at the Trust. The Guardian must report quarterly to the Board and the Local Negotiating Committee, along with Health Education England, Care Quality Commission, General Medical Council and General Dental Council. Some breaches incur a financial penalty. If a breach of safety limits is reported and the report is validated by the Guardian, the doctor will be paid at the penalty rate, and the Guardian will levy a fine on the department employing the doctor for those additional hours worked. The money raised through fines must be used to benefit the education, training and working environment of trainees. As a BMA member, you have a wealth of services and benefits. Make sure you take advantage of everything your membership offers. To support your career, we have 230 specialist advisors dedicated to offering individual employment advice. In 2019, we handled over 128,000 inquiries from members and resolved over 80% of all member cases within the first 3 months. You can access support and advice 8 AM to 8 PM Monday to Friday and 9 to 5 on Saturday. You will shortly be receiving a new contract outlining the terms and conditions of your new role. We recommend that you take advantage of our free contract checking service before you sign on the dotted line. 20% of the contracts we checked in 2019 deviated from the national model, and given the complexities of your new role, this service may save you time, money and unnecessary stress in the long run. You can send your contract to us and our expert team will send it back to you with any comments within 5 working days. We are also a professional association and we help our members develop their careers with world-class learning resources to support their development. Learning resources include a weekly copy of the BMJ magazine and the monthly Doctor magazine. You'll have full access to BMJ e-learning, webinars, workshops and access to the BMA library. BMA membership resources can also help with your portfolio, specialty interview skills training and CV writing workshops. As I said earlier, these are exceptional times for the health service. And as a new doctor, you may find yourself experiencing additional pressures, stress or anxiety as you enter the workforce. If at any time you need support or you would like to speak to someone in confidence, please know that we are here for you. Our BMA Wellbeing Support Service is open 24 hours, 7 days a week to all doctors and medical students. You will have the choice of speaking to a counsellor or another doctor who you can contact for peer support. Visit bma.org.uk or call 0330 123 1245. The services are confidential and free of charge. Before you start working on a junior doctor contract, there are 4 things you need to do to cover yourselves. If you aren't already a member of the BMA, join now and pay nothing until October the 1st. We can only support our members. To ensure you're receiving the most relevant information, please update your details and sign up for the communications that you want to receive. Get your contract and rota details checked for free as part of your membership. And take a look at the membership benefits available to you. I hope you found this presentation helpful and I wish you all the best of luck in your future career.